Mm-hmm. All right.
Welcome to Candid Dialogues with Plumber and Lorraine Baylor. Each week, we'll bring you wholesome and engaging conversations about things that matter to you and things that matter to us. We address life topics ranging from relationships to business and our personal favorite, spiritual things. Now, here are your hosts, Plumber and Lorraine.
Welcome to Candid Dialogues with Plumber and Lorraine, where we talk about things that matter to you and things that matter to us. I'm Plumber, and this is Lorraine. I think we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty here.
Yes.
Anyhow, it's Candid Dialogues with Plumber and Lorraine. I'm Plumber, and this is Lorraine. And each week we talk about things that matter to you and things that matter to us. I'm Plumber, and this beautiful lady here who had the little sound glitch is Lorraine.
Well, we're really excited to be back in, in this form again. It has been over, let's say, maybe
a minimum
weeks.
of 6 weeks. I know, because I was out of the country for about 5 weeks. Yeah.
So we're really excited to be back on board with you guys. Mm-hmm. We am especially excited about the couple that we have been kind of telling you a little about. We're just going to tell you a little bit about.
Well, before we go into that though, let's just I see folks are tuning in. We want to say hi and want to encourage folks. Yeah, Felicia is on here. Gigi's on here. Hey, folks, listen. Before we even get into this, go ahead and share this link, because we really believe it's going to be fun. It's going to be very interesting. Like Lorraine was saying, the couple that we have here, they're a very exciting couple, very fun couple. But take a minute right now, go ahead and share the link and invite some folks. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, take a few minutes right now, go and search for Candid Dialogues and subscribe. If you have not liked our Facebook page, go ahead and like the Facebook page. And I think that's kind of about where we should be right now. Yes.
Yeah. So who do we have on today?
Well, I'm going to let you do that. I'm going to let you do. You go ahead and start. And by the way, we're going to be talking about couples working together.
Mm.
The irony of that, Lorraine and I, we've been together for a little, just under 21 years. Just about, and we've been working together.
Under 21?
Just under 21, yeah. We've known each other for about 21, but we've been
more than
married.
21.
Okay, all right. Nah.
There we go. I just want to make sure he got the timeline right. I'm like, you're missing a little time there.
She's not letting go of those few months, right?
No,
that's all right. All right, baby. I'm with you. But it's been interesting because since we met, since we knew each other, we've been working together in some way, shape, or form. We worked for the same company together, and then shortly after that, we got married and then stopped working for that company, and we've pastored together. We've done business together. So this is a very, very interesting topic for us. We've had people ask how you do it, and so rather than talking about how we do it, we figured it would be nice to have someone else, another couple who have done this.
And they're doing it well.
And are doing it quite well. Yes. So I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about who we have, and then we'll bring them on.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about Cathy and give you an opportunity to talk.
Okay. I thought we were going to talk about their, just kind of set that up. Well, go ahead. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
He's been gone for a little bit, but he's getting back and acclimated. But I want to talk to you, give you a little brief bio of who we're going to have on today. And I want to talk specifically about Cathy, who happens to be, the first person in her family to actually attend university. She graduated from Rutgers University with a BS in criminal justice and English literature, and also with a minor in education. So yeah, she's pretty smart. She's a certified paralegal, and she was in the business for about 20 years. experience specifically in the area of medical malpractice, personal injury, and product liability. In addition to that, about 2018, Cathy decided that she needed a change. She wanted some flexibility. All of us want that flexibility. But she was bold enough, brave enough to say, "Okay, I'm gonna
smart enough
to take matters into her hand and decide that, hey, listen, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna make a big change here in this lifestyle event." And she did a good thing.
Why we'll talk about. We'll let her tell us why.
Yeah. She wanted more flexibility, but she'll tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, she'll go into a little bit more detail about that. Yeah.
So tell us a little.
So Cathy and Dave Vidal is our team that we have on here today. Mm-hmm. They are the owners of Vidal Notaries LLC. Mm-hmm. It's a mobile notary company specializing in facilitating real estate closing transactions. They are both commissioned notary publics in the state of New Jersey, and they operate through the state. They are both certified as loan signing with the loan signing system and the National Notary Association to conduct real estate loan closings. They're college sweethearts, and their relationship spans 25 years. I think that's what we should have said. Our relationship spans 21 years, right? So you heard a little about.
Still off a few months.
you heard a little bit about Cathy. Actually, both her and Dave are first generation Portuguese Americans, which basically means that their parents are full-blooded 100% Portuguese, but they were born in the United States. Dave also is the first person in his family to attend university. He graduated from the New Jersey Institute of Technology with a BS in Marketing Management. Dave has worked in various industries, with the banking industry being the longest. He had a stint working as a portfolio manager of residential and commercial loans. When that entity closed its doors in 2015, he spent some time again rediscovering what he wanted to do with his career. Although he's worked several jobs, and he worked several jobs between that window. Awkward, but he did it, and he discovered an affinity for public speaking, and he knew he no longer wanted a desk job. That's actually how Dave and I met. Mm-hmm. Dave and I had the same client. I was privileged to be one of the trainers in his training class to start with this client here, because they had to do some kind of onboarding and things like that. And our relationship kind of grew and grew and grew. So he helped Cathy to start Vidal Notaries LLC in June of 2020. So I want you to hear this. He helped her start that, but this was her gig. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, he came on board. And so we're going to have that conversation now. Folks, wherever you are, just give me a thumbs up, clap, 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 say welcome, welcome. Let me bring Dave and Cathy Vidal into the picture. There they are. Hey,
everybody.
How you guys doing?
Oh, man, I love the story. The story,
right?
Wow.
Interesting. The story. So anyhow, welcome. I'm really grateful that you decided to do this. We were going to do this, I think in January or February, right? We started this conversation and then scheduling, and then I had to go to Sierra Leone. It couldn't work out. So we set a date. And truth, Dave, I was in Sierra Leone when you sent me that email with the reminder about the date. I had completely forgotten.
It was on our radar. We're like, we want to do this. We want to do this.
Awesome. Well, I think let's just jump into this, shall we?
Now, before we jump into this, we want to tell everyone this is just as usual. So if you have some questions, definitely put them in the chat, and we'll incorporate them during the time that we're interviewing Dave and Cathy. Okay?
Exactly. Thank you. And folks, I'll say this: even though we've titled this "Couples Working Together," it's really not just about married couples, because we're not naive enough to think that people people are together for a while, they have a strong, healthy, thriving relationship, and they want to do business. So it could even just be a friend that you want to work with together. But what are some of the dynamics? They're very similar. How do they work together? I know Lauren and I, like I said earlier in the introduction, since day one, we've been working together. It's been a challenge with a capital C, and the 2 L's in the middle for Lorraine are capitalized as well. So it's been a challenge. But we've
done it well, and we've done it not so well.
And we've done it successfully. We survived. We've done it successfully. So, we shared a bit about you guys. Let me start this way. Tell us a bit about yourself, Dave and Cathy Vidal. Tell us a bit about yourself, other than what you wrote down for us. Go for it.
I'll let you start it off. Yeah.
Okay, so we met in college. I'm a little on the shyer side and quieter side normally. Dave's a little more extroverted, or at least now he is. I don't know. I hate talking about myself.
I guess what I'd like to add in our story of how we met, obviously college sweethearts, but the origin story of that is that when we first met, she didn't like me much.
I didn't. I thought he was a little too full of himself.
Oh.
But that was about the beginning of like September or October when school started, and we actually became friends. Friendship developed, which then
hanging out with same people, going to parties, and
it went from there.
Got to know each other, and first date, and here we are.
Ups and downs like everybody else and everything, but it's been a fun ride up till now.
Absolutely.
25 plus years later, it's like, yay!
25 plus years and learning something new every day.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, we really appreciate you guys taking the time out to join us, and I know that our audience is going to appreciate everything that you bring to the table. Now, Plumber and I had the honor of really talking behind the scenes with them. And as they begin to talk, I could tell that this is just an awesome couple, and they're very authentic. And that's what I love. They're authentic and real. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no. All right. My pleasure.
So let me jump in there. So Vidal Notaries, you guys are loan signing agents.
Yes.
How does this differ from being a notary, just a notary? Because you have to be a notary to be a loan signing agent, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what's the difference here?
So, the difference is we have taken some certification courses to recognize and understand the documents that are presented to the buyers, to the borrowers. Yes, any notary can notarize all the documents. But when people are refinancing their home or they are purchasing their home, they're very nervous and they would like an explanation of the 100 to 200 pages in front of them. So we are educated enough to give a very deep, brief description of everything, and then also know where everybody needs to sign and date. And then as a notary, we handle our little notary blocks and notarize each signature along the way. We're kind of like the face at the end of the ordeal, whether it's good or bad. Many people do search for homes over several months and deal with their lender and their loan officers, and then we happily come in and close the deal for them, and hopefully put a smile on their faces.
Yeah, the key to a loan signing agent, the notarization piece is obviously one part of it, but you want someone too that can, at the very least, manage a scenario, because not every signing, not every closing goes 100%. Not every closing goes very easily. Some of them produce very difficult situations, regarding whatever the terms, or it might be the borrower that might not be agreeing with something. And so you have to be able to then bring in the parties, because again, we're not there to give answers or resolve anything. We're there to facilitate the process. We're there to communicate with whomever needs to be communicated to get the answer, to find the solution.
The middle person that makes
the middle
person that can put all the key players together on the phone if need be to resolve any issues that do come up. Yeah.
So would it be safe to say you are the guy? So for example, I pride myself of reading everything before I sign.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it
all
really is
122
well, it didn't quite work like that when we bought our house, right? So you're the guys who would kind of break it down, even though I pretend that I'm going to read all 122 pages. You're the guys who will summarize it and make sure that at least I understand it and have a measure of comfort to what I'm signing.
Exactly. And our signers, we never stop anybody from reading anything, but we do know that obviously that starts taking up time. And so to help just facilitate that process, you're right. Every document that's presented, we present with a brief synopsis. This is what you're signing, and this is the main terms of your document. And it just goes from there, and it helps just keep a nice rhythm in your sign as the closing is going on. But nonetheless, though, the signer is always welcome to read everything and should read everything, obviously, just to have know what they are particularly getting into.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll pose this question to Cathy first. Tell us a little bit about your professional background and how you actually transitioned into this business. I know you said that you wanted a little bit of flexibility, but tell us a little bit more.
Okay, so I was a paralegal for 20 years. When I graduated college, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my life. I got my first job literally as a receptionist, and the placement agency that got me that job asked me, "What are you going to do now with your life?" I had no idea, so then I did get my paralegal studies. And the second job was in a plaintiff law firm. And it was medical malpractice, so I did learn a lot. So medical malpractice, product liability, personal injury, they usually fall under, most firms cover most of that. I learned a lot. I got pretty good at what I did. I trained incoming paralegals, interns, anything like that. So it was a good job. I worked for many good law firms and good lawyers. I am happy about that. While doing that, while being a paralegal, you do have to be very organized, detail-oriented, keep things in order. At some point, this was probably about 2018, early 2018, the year before, it was the year before, 2017. I was already looking to see what else I could do other than baking cookies. I do like baking cookies, but I didn't think that would be a profession for me. So
not yet.
David already had done a little bit of research and found out that the notaries that come out to the people or show up at the closings, this is something they do. And I was like, oh, it's a thing. That was my thing. Oh, this is a thing.
It's a thing.
I think I can try this. I had a little bit. I did want to change. My mother fell ill, and I wanted more flexibility to come and go as I please. I will say my employers were very good, but obviously, as an employee, I didn't want to leave them high and dry and just skip out all the time. So I did want something different where I wouldn't be a burden in the extent, if I called out last minute or something, they scramble, it could be an important day with deadlines. So I did want something with more flexibility because I realized that no matter how much time you have with your family, it's never enough. So, I was working, I think 4 days a week at that point. Fifth day, I did what I needed to. I usually spent it with my mother. My mother was getting chemo. I would go. And I told Dave, I'm like, I really want something different. I already had taken my certification and taken the NNA course. I took all the courses that I needed to. I felt comfortable. And then I told my employer, I gave them notice. I gave them notice. Wow. I gave 3 months notice, which turned into 6 months, which was fine. Unfortunately, my mom did pass prior to me coming on full time for this, but
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But there is the freedom, there's a flexibility. Dave helped me build the company. Towards the end, my mother was still with us, but when I wasn't working, I was trying to figure out, because I'm not an accountant or anything, but get this off the ground, get this to be a something. He helped me as much as he could, and I kind of took the plunge and became our initial face of the company and tried to get our accounts and everything going. But it was due to wanting the flexibility to do this, the flexibility to be with family, the flexibility to take vacations and, not ask permission from an employer and only be able to take this time. I think I'm rambling. I apologize.
No, that's perfect. I was gonna say, because you kind of hit on a few things. If I can, you kind of knew your why. You knew your why, and I think if there's a takeaway that we get from this, because a lot of people say, oh, it'd be nice to own my own business. It'd be nice to do this, but knowing your why is really what keeps you going in those moments of doubt. It is so. I'll put it this way: having a compelling why, and it sounds like you were able to do that. You mentioned that Dave helped you to kind of start the business. Dave, how do you see your role in that? Because one of the things that couples want to work together. Couples think about it, they don't talk about it. They're afraid to bring it up. How did you bridge that gap? How did that conversation start, Dave? Was it initiated by Cathy, or did you see and say, what, Cathy, you would be good at this. Why don't you go for it?
It's actually the latter. That's exactly it. Was the latter. So when the whole banking, the bank I was with, once they had closed the doors, and then I'm going through this 2016, I'm kind of going through this process of what's my next step? What do I want to do? I remember I had spoken to a career counselor, corporate training had come about. So there was a couple of different things in my head at that time. But I had been a notary at that point already for almost 10 years. And I had been, but I was just notarizing some bank documents and some loan documents. And really it hadn't even, it hadn't occurred to me that, wait, as a notary, I could do so much more. Can
I just jump in there real quickly? I hate to interrupt you, but you mentioned you had been a notary. This is through the bank, right? This had nothing to do with being a loan signing agent. Okay.
No, this was just the bank. The bank had something to notarize internally for them, which I would go and I would notarize. So that's how that was. Again, not really seeing what else could a notary do. And so in 2016, I'm looking again through all these different options and all these different things, and that's when the loan signing business industry came about. As Cathy said, it's a thing. This is a thing. Not realizing that we ourselves had already closed on our own loans and had this notary come to our house, but I never envisioned what it was that this person did. So going down a few rabbit holes of information, we found some things, and it was funny that at every step I kept showing Cathy, like, hey, here's this thing that I could do with my notary commission. But I never really put it together, right? The idea never really put it together. So we're still going through it. A year had passed by. I'm still now looking for, you and I had met with our mutual client. We had, we had done some work for them. At one point I was offered a job to go to work in New York City. And in the meantime, Cathy and I, here we are still thinking about this idea of, okay, what is now by this time we have defined what is a loan signing agent and what could a loan signing business look like. So when the situation occurred with my mother-in-law, that she had gotten sick, and Cathy one day just looked at me and goes, and she herself was working, she goes, I want to do something that just opens up a little bit more flexibility. I want to spend more time with my mom. And I think I turned around to her that day and I go, well, then you're starting the business. And I literally said it just like that. Then you're starting the business. Knowing full well that it wouldn't be easy, because there was a little bit of the cushion, if you will, to fall back on that. I did have the employment, I did have the job, and a job that I was grateful for having, but always in the back of my mind, this whole thing of, I don't want to work behind a desk anymore. And I want something that opens up a little more flexibility for me. But knowing that she wanted, I'm like, well, you know what? Start the business. Let's get it started. What would that look like?
And let's see what happens.
And we kind of put together a company, and we thought about what our brand would look like, and it's, if there's, what's our message, what are we trying to bring to people, what is our what is our unique selling proposition to our clients, and started building that little mantra, if you will, of what is Vidal Notaries. And now we're talking, this is, and unfortunately my mother-in-law dies, she dies in 2018. So the business wasn't yet up and running yet. Cathy herself was just letting go, was still working through her period with her last employer. And in 2019,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're like, she goes, I think
this is it.
We're like, I'm going to do this. And now it was my mother, but with my mother-in-law having passed, that was our why as well. That was the motivation, was, she passed. We should have done this sooner, but you know what? Now for those that are still here, we're going to make it so that we have that flexibility for them, for her dad, for my brother, for my sister, for her sister, for everybody, for
just
the
to
family.
be able to be there whenever somebody needs us.
Mm-hmm.
And
go ahead. I just want to jump in because I think this is very important for a lot of couples. How did you, and you briefly spoke about it, but I want to know, how did you navigate through the finances? Because now one partner was going to be dropping into the finance. How did you talk through it? Not that everything was in place, but how did you have that conversation where you can come to agreement that this is what we're going to do in terms of our finances now that there's a change?
I guess kind of very diplomatically.
yeah.
It's a little of who makes the better points at the end. We always agreed that we would never do anything if we both didn't feel mostly comfortable with. I mean, because there's always a little bit of nervousness with everything.
Yeah.
So it's normally, I was very much a pessimist with certain things. So I'd give you all the reasons not to do something, and he would give all the reasons to do something. And then we'd have to just keep talking it out. I mean, maybe too much talking, but we do talk it out. And Dave was, I put at a 9 to 5, he was employed. He had an employer. He got a paycheck at the end of the week. So that was a big point for me to let go of my weekly paycheck to be able to try this and see if it happens. Dave would come home from work, and anything that came up during the day, we'd have to discuss it. And, should we spend a little bit more on the business cards? Should we spend a little less? I mean, some people think it's minor things, but now we only really had his salary. Mine was unknown. And it's slow going when you start a business. I mean, very slow. We would just talk things out. We really, really talked it out. If need be, we drew graphs for each other if we had to. But we would always wait till, yes, okay, we're gonna, spend more money on the business cards, or, hold off on the pens, whatever it is.
So I'm hearing two things here. I'm hearing you guys were in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it brings me back to the scripture. How can two walk together except they agree?
Except they're agreed, yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is just scripture through and through. How can work, walk together unless they agreed? So you guys really focused on being in agreement, but also not just in agreement that whoever was the person with the least amount of comfort, until their comfort level came to a place that was agreeable. How important would you say that is in the success of this?
Oh, that both be
right at the top.
Right at the top.
That's right at the top.
Okay.
Right at the top.
If you're not in agreement or you're not comfortable, what if this didn't work out?
Mm-hmm.
The person who gave in would be resentful.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're not in agreement, we don't like to turn around. I may bring up the one year he forgot my birthday, but I never want to bring up.
I'll never live. I will not live that.
That really is a minor thing.
All right.
Finances, working together,
Yeah.
It has to be right at the top. Agreement, that has to be, seriously, it's the first ring on that ladder.
So for instance, when we started, okay, so we had started the business and I was employed. I could tell you it was almost immediately, within months. I'm looking at Cathy, I'm like, I want to join you. I want to join you. And she, because of this, we both have to be comfortable. She's like, why don't you hold off? Hold off a second. I was ready to go as soon as she went in. I'm like, wait, I want to do that too. I want to. And she goes, hold off. And it took me almost all of 2019 to finally convince her that, can I join you now? Can we? And finally it was around the end of 2019. She goes, okay, but you have to give them some amount of time, to my current employer, to my last employer.
And we could figure out our own.
So we can figure out, as she said, we need to now figure out what's going to happen with, health insurance. What's going to happen with, all right, now we got to set up, we got to redo our family budgets. We got to, and that was, and so end of 2019, I had given notice. Actually, I'm sorry, right at initially, beginning of 2020, I had given notice, to my current employer. But it took me all of that 2019 to convince her, because again, I was ready to go immediately, and she was not, because I was comfortable, but she was not. So I had to let her reach that same level of comfort that I had in the situation.
Awesome.
So that was a matter of faith and trust, really. Trusting in one another, and taking that faith move. Mm-hmm. Now, and I'm going to ask this. I'm going to play advocate. Who's the boss?
Oh, that's easy.
Who's the boss?
It's not me.
You're not the boss of me. I want to hear that.
I can tell you it's not me. But please, let me. I'm going to defer that to the president of Vidal Notaries.
The only reason he says that is, well, I do like hearing that. But honestly, when I started the company, I learned the way our clients like certain things done, and I took over doing our bookkeeping and scheduling and everything like that. So I felt like I was doing all the nitty work, and I left what I call the more glamorous side of the business to Dave. He's our social media, he's our marketing guy, which complements him completely. That is him. So he calls me the boss because I'll talk numbers, and when he started, every day he'd come home and I'm like, I want to see your work. I want to make sure you did it right. Can I see everything? Mm-hmm. Like, I had to let go of doing that too. But just because I established most of the relationships that we have now first, that's why he calls me the boss.
I call him the boss for a different reason too. It was important when we started the company, we knew we wanted to differentiate it somehow. And for me, it was what I felt strongly about was I wanted us to focus and be identified as a woman-led, woman-owned company. So in reality, we're both. We're women-owned because Cathy is 51% member of the company, and woman-led because she's also on our operating agreement. She's listed as president. So, and that why that was important was, again, just to have that focus occur. It allowed us to work also with companies that they themselves have that same focus, that have that same mindset. They want to work with like-minded companies, and knowing that for us, it was key. So that's why we took it right from the start. So I always tell folks very, very emphatically that I report to my boss every day.
So it sounds like this was a really, even though she started before you joined, but it was a strategic move too. And I was going to ask that question, being a woman-owned, woman-led, it opens, I mean, let's be real, it opens a lot of doors. Mm-hmm. Companies are looking for that. Who do I work with? Do I work with a woman-owned? And there's certain things. So I can, would you say that was a strategic move?
Mm-hmm. It was on his part. It was on Dave's part. It wasn't something. It wasn't something I had thought about, honestly. Mm-hmm. But Dave Dave, I think that was always in the back of his mind.
Yeah. So if the advantage is there, take it, right?
Why not?
Yeah.
So what is it like working? Plumber and I know, but what is it like working together every day? You know, are there any boundaries that you've set for one another or for yourself as a couple, but also as professionals working together?
And let me just add this there. If you can, what would you say are your top 5 tips or tricks for working together?
You can think about that one.
Okay.
We did set our boundaries. We have a bedroom that we converted to an office, and Dave stays in his office, and I like working on the kitchen table because there's a lot of sunlight down here. So we try, if it happens to be a slow day and neither one of us has anywhere to go out to, we each work from our own office. He'll stay upstairs, I'll stay downstairs, and then we meet at lunchtime. We'll have lunch, and then we each go back to doing what it is we're doing. We may have brainstormed on the weekend or the night before as to, all right, tomorrow's a slow day. How about you make some calls to A, B, C, and Y, and I'll take care of this. But he's a night owl, and he does like to talk at night. I come home, have dinner. I want to turn everything off and just be a bit of a couch potato, catch up on my social media, and he wants to talk business. So there are days, since it is where we are together. We're together. Even if we're out on the road, we'll check in. How's your closing go? It does come to a point where I tell him we have to stop. This can't just be what we are. It can't just be work all the time. So
you're the manager of that. You are the manager of that piece.
Oh, yes.
We have to stop. Dave wants to keep going.
I talk business all the time. I'm like, we are not. I can't be on work mode all the time. Yes, it creeps in here and there if an email comes in on the weekend or something like that. But I told him we have to stop. Let's talk about, I don't know, anything else. Let's talk about the bunnies bouncing in the yard because I can't. I don't think it's good if it's just work, and there's no entertainment or hobbies, diversions for each other. There has to be a little bit of there has to be a separation between home life and our work life.
Yeah, Cathy, one thing she did, she set up we have very much a cutoff.
Okay, I think there's a mic issue here.
Yeah, Dave, when you were talking, so when Cathy talks, we could hear her. As soon as she started talking, we couldn't hear you. So maybe, Dave, you need to just start talking. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll start yelling.
Let the boss do the talk. No, we can hear you now.
Oh, it's just kind of touching on that separation. Cathy set up a bit of a cutoff time, if you will. So our day kind of allowing so that our day cuts off at that day, at the very least, almost when we're talking about thought process. Work itself may occur if there's a late signing and we still have to prepare some documents. That's just, for lack of a better expression, grunt work, and you just kind of get through it and stamp and go and process but there's really no strategy there. It's just getting through documentation and going. But when it comes to actual things regarding the company strategy, marketing, we kind of she built a bit of a cutoff. And in the morning too, though, I had to do the same because I am not a morning person. It's almost like don't talk to me before I've had my third cup of coffee. And so because of that, I've also had to say, well, don't wake up and immediately want to, well, did you send out this email and that email? Because I'm not ready for that either. So we have to, it's all things that you have to consider, it's two different people, two different mindsets. Yeah. And you have to adjust for that.
Well, so Dave, I'm the trainer, I'm the educator. Takeaway so far, what I've got is important is the dialogue. The conversation is important, right? Would you say that's true? That constant dialogue before, during, and after. So the dialogue, the conversation is important. Number 2, being in agreement with one another, trying hard to be in agreement, even to the point of deferring to the person who's not there yet. Would you say that is accurate? Yeah. Also, setting boundaries.
Yes.
Which it sounds like you've done well. And along with boundaries, that there's a cutoff time for your day. So you have a work day. You do have a work day.
Yes.
When the expectation is that this should end right now.
Yes.
Does that sound about right? Okay. All right. Because I know folks might be wondering, okay, so how do we make this work?
Yeah. You know, I know we're talking about couples working together, but I know that within this business, there's a possibility that, and we do have some singles on viewers that might be interested in starting their own business. And in particular, this particular business, how would they get started? What are some of the things they might want to consider?
So I think first and foremost, they should become a notary of whatever state they live in.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second. We lost your audio. A second.
Okay. Let's try to get.
How's that?
Yes, that works.
Good.
Anybody who wants to do this should first and foremost become a notary of whichever state they reside in. I know some states have some sort of exam or a test, some states do not. Then they should do some research and get themselves a training course. Nationwide, I know that the National Notary Association is a national standard. They can do a loan signing exam through them. Certification. It's
a certification.
It's a certification that, you know, people know you took it seriously, and if you passed it, you should know what you're doing. And we both took another one because I wasn't sure that I could trust just the information off of one exam. So then we did take the loan signing system as well, which was very informative, and it's a course for life. So we do get mentorships and updates and things of that nature. So definitely notary first, certifications afterwards. And I know there are a few states, Indiana, I think Maryland, those I know off the top of my head. You also need to obtain a title producer's license. But most people, if they go to their Secretary of State website, each state will list its requirements for doing this type of job, business, employment, however, profession. And then it's just a matter of making connections and networking and marketing and knocking on doors. You know, restrictions have been lifting, so literally knocking on doors of attorneys' offices, real estate offices, lenders, banks, title agencies, escrow officers, knocking on doors, making calls, you know, the old-fashioned way, sending emails, trying to set up meetings, things of that nature. It is a great profession to get into, whether you're single, do it as a couple. It's a good profession for those who want just a part-time job. So they have their 9 to 5, or they have other commitments and they can only work a few hours a day, or just want to work on the weekends, or just the evenings, or just mornings. It is a very flexible position, very, very flexible, because you only get paid for the assignments you complete. So you take on what you can handle. And like I said, some people we know have retired but still want a little something. You know, they're retired, but they're not ready to just
throw it in,
sit at the beach chair all day,
right into the sunset, right?
You know, what I found was interesting is that you started, I believe, Dave, you came on in 2019, right?
2020, so June of 2020.
2020, right during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And you made it work, you know, right during the pandemic. And it's my understanding that you know, it brought in some finances. So yeah. So
that's all they do. It brought in finances. That's all you guys do, right? So, this is full time. You're doing this full time. Okay.
So my takeaway from this, in terms of, you know, you transitioning, both of you working for yourself during a pandemic. And I think that during the pandemic, quite a few people were forced to actually change courses. But this was a choice. This was literally a choice that you made, Dave. And I really like the fact that you all, you conversed about it, you came to agreement, but you had a certain kind of work ethic too.
Yes.
And that's important to being successful, not just in this kind of job that you guys have. If you're going to work for yourself in any capacity, there has to be a certain type of work ethic, correct?
Yeah, let's can you talk a little bit about that? What does it what is the personality? Not just personality, what is the work ethic that is necessary to succeed in this business? Because we do have some singles on here, we do have some couples on, that watch this show. That what would it take? A nice balance of what would it take, not just a personality, but work ethic.
So, do you want to take it? Want me to take it?
No, go ahead.
So a personality that meshes well. Again, you're so as a loan signing agent, you're dealing with many different people every day, different personalities in and of themselves. So you have to be somebody that can mesh well with all of that. You got to be able to be quick.
You can be any type of personality. There are people out there that are shy and quiet, and will get that client that is like them, while other people are very loud and boisterous and just seem full of life, and they mesh very well with people of that type. So this profession meshes well with anybody. If you think you're shy or a wallflower, or right up to the guy who wants to MC everybody's events, you find who you're.
But you are going to be confronted with folks that maybe aren't of the same personality type that you have, and you have to be able to adjust for that. At least to a certain degree, you have to be able to work with them, because you're helping. It goes with the saying that with the swipe of a pen, millions of dollars are transacted. It's not millions of dollars, but it's what you're working with. And so from there, then your next bit is you have to be somebody that has to be able to think. I think this is key, though. You have to be able to think on your feet. Now, again, because some signings, some closings go just as smooth as silk, and others are like the Rocky Mountains. They're all over the place, and different parties are being brought in, and then maybe you have an attorney that doesn't like something that's occurring with their client's paperwork, and so you have to be able to negotiate that, not negotiate, but navigate all that.
Keep your cool.
Keep your cool. Yeah, that's probably the key personality trait just across the board.
Even if you're
you have
frazzled inside, just stay cool on the outside.
Gotta keep that cool, because again, it's no fault of your own that an issue occurred, but at the same time, you don't want to add to it. So if something is not going well with the signing, again, you don't want to add to the dilemma. If something, you want to just find the solutions, or sometimes the solution is just sitting there clammed up, and because it's the parties involved are already trying to resolve it, and you're just waiting for them to say, okay, proceed, or, well, you know what, this is not going forward. And from that point,
any personality, any
personality. It works with everybody. It works with different personality traits, but keeping cool, that's, I think, the common trait that everybody needs to have. Yeah, you do not want to, that's sometimes as aggravating as it can be. You want to keep that nice calmness.
You've given us a platform to start from, and also, because some of the comments, Gigi, nice possibility for us to look into. Gigi is in Arizona. Dale says she's single, retired. Sound like something she could do.
Absolutely.
I want to say thank you, because some people might not be this particular business, but they might have been thinking about, okay, how do I leave my job? How do I start something? So this gives them the I say a little bit of to get started, to say you can do it.
Right. That was going to actually be
a little nudge. I like it.
That was actually going to be my last kind of question as we round up here. What advice would you give for someone who's contemplating this as a single or as a couple, or that person who is saying, you know what, I've been itching to have this conversation with my spouse. I don't know how to bring it up. Or that person who is saying, is this really something I can do? again, Dave, I know you're the motivational speaker. I'm putting this on you. I've seen Dave in action. Dave was a trainer. I'm going to let Cathy slide on this. Dave, I am putting, there you go. She got her drink. I'm putting this on you. Give us the 30-second Dave motivational. Go for it, Dave.
All right. So I say first and foremost, obviously, you want to, if you're considering doing anything, whether it's being a loan signing agent or just you want to go into a business for yourself, you want to bake cookies, you want to obviously just have that little bit of information about what it is you're trying to get into. Understand it. Understand what that industry is. Understand some of the particulars of it. What do you want to get into? What are you trying to get into? And then from there, it's as you're building that knowledge base, as you're starting to inform yourself, that's where you start building in. Okay, well, what am I going to bring into that? What's my unique selling proposition into that industry? What am I going to bring that's going to be that thing that's going to really make it unique for everybody? As you start building that I think starts building that auto motivation inside of you. That little fire starts driving, especially when you're really liking what you're hearing. That was what would happen with us. It was just that little fire. And then from there, at some point, every entrepreneur, and again, this isn't a new concept to me or something I've come up with, but every entrepreneur, they will tell you, sometimes you just have to go for it. And that's really just it. You just have to go for it. It's not.
You can do it in a small step.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying full blown. Don't leave a job tomorrow. And no. Consider if you want to go for it, and you could do it in small baby steps. You're thinking, I want to leave this job. I have this job, and I'm not happy here, and I really want to do that. I mean, you can go 100% jump in, and hey, folks have been ridiculously just successful in doing something like that. Or you can transition slowly. And I think everybody has to do things at a pace that is comfortable for them. Never compare yourself to what the person next to you is doing. Never look at that, because that is just a horrible place to be when you're looking at the person and go, oh my goodness, look, they're doing so much better than me, or they're so far ahead of me. No.
Everybody's in a different place in their life. Their story is not exactly as each other's story.
Your journey is, everybody's journey is individual, and it has to be that the case. Everybody's journey is individual, and you have to guide yourself by the pace of your journey.
I love it.
Thank you so very much. Hey, listen, one last thing, because I know there may be folks who may be watching this from the New Jersey area, whether from, giving you guys their business, which I would hope they would do, or even say, hey, listen, we want to do this thing. How do folks get in touch with you?
A couple of different ways. They can actually, they can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Vidal Notaries is there. Our individual profiles are there. Please, they can choose any one of those social media platforms. An email, they can send an email to vidalnotaries@gmail.com. That's another one as well, so they can email us there. And then just through any of the platforms, if they want to messenger us, they can do that as well. And then later on, we do respond.
Yeah. It may take a couple of hours, but yes, we do get back to everybody.
Yeah. And then later on, if we can set up a call, we can do a couple of different things with them. But through the platforms, if any of those are of use to anybody, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they can find us across all of that.
And it's Vidal Notaries.
Yeah, vidalnotaries@gmail.com. That's it right there.
Yep. And
all right. I need to slip this in, folks. When you check them out on Instagram, Dave is an awesome cook. I know Cathy is too. As a matter of fact, when I first contacted Dave, it was to do a show on his cooking. And he was like, no, let's talk about business. You will see pictures that will blow your mind. He's a fun tidbit. You tried out for, what was it? The cooking show?
So actually it was there was a cooking contest going on, the favorite chef, and it was actually, I believe it was being sponsored through Bon Appetit magazine. And I was just trying to go through that. What the Master Chef. Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. That's right.
Further. Yes, yeah. I did try out for Master Chef. Actually, I
2 rounds.
I went through 2 rounds. It wasn't too bad, but I didn't go too far. I'm tempted to try that again at some point.
Please do. I'm rooting for you. You know I am.
This has been a pleasure indeed. I'm telling you, you have just saved people some tremendous amount of money just by coming on here and giving that free speech.
Now, I know we didn't quite go through questions, but we have one question, and I want to ask. This is from Felicia. She says, as it relates to working together, I took note of the fact that one of them is a morning person and the other is a night owl. Interested in knowing how they navigate that. Did that factor into how they carved out your work time?
Oh wow, yeah,
good question.
Good question.
Yeah. So Felicia, I'm the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed at 5 a.m. Dave is the one who wants to talk at 10 o'clock at night. Our work hours, I tried to stick to a traditional office, like a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5 or 6, something like that. I'd like to shut off, and if we're home for dinner together, I'd like that to be, let's finish what we can while we're having dinner and then let it go a bit. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we may still have to prep documents for the next day, but work time is usually the 9 to 5, the traditional 9 to 5. Saturday mornings, depending on what's going on for the rest of the day, it may be a day to catch up on accounting, bookkeeping, discussing next week as well. Sundays are really more of the, I do believe everybody needs some relaxation, some rest, family time, spiritual time. So Sundays is usually a day we try not to discuss work at all.
Yeah.
But people do work this job on Sundays as well. So
yeah.
you have to pick your day as to your rest. But you end up, whether this is your life partner, your business partner, you feel each other out and you end up in sync at some point. I have to, be willing to talk a little later in the day about work. He also tries to have at least 2 cups of coffee by 6 so he can talk to me in the morning. Work it out.
We work it out. It out. And then
work it out.
Awesome.
I love it.
But when the assignment, for instance, goes past that certain cutoff time at night, then that's it. We come home, the assignment's done, and it's more like, hey, how was your day? Day was great. Well, let me finish this document up, and no work conversation from there. The key thing too, though, is not make every conversation a work conversation. Mm-hmm. And that's a key. Yeah, that's a big one.
I love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much.
Yes, a big shout out to Pastor Sims, and actually he was talking to us from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Dale in DC area. Adams. I'm not sure where.
Adams in Charlotte. Yes.
Charlotte.
Muhammad in the Charlotte area. Dale in Maryland.
Gigi in
Phoenix. Well, in Arizona. Yes. Felicia here in North Carolina. Yeah. So
we are thankful for you guys joining us today. We know that you could be doing 1,000,001 other things, but we appreciate the fact that you jumped online just to hear Cathy and Dave and Plumber and myself.
Yes.
It's our honor. We loved it.
It's been an honor indeed. Thank you so much, Cathy and Dave. We love you guys. I'm looking forward to coming to New Jersey and just seeing how you all work.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll make sure I'll make sure we're cooking as well. So we got
awesome. Folks, I'm not joking. Go find him on Instagram or even on his Facebook page. You will see stuff that will just blow your mind. Hey, love you guys. Thank you so very much. Thanks for joining.
All right, guys. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.
All right, folks. Hey, this has been wonderful.
Yes.
This has been great. We will be back next week, God willing. So mark your calendars.
2:30
Eastern Standard Time. I'm Plumber, and this is Lorraine. And remember, success is only one candid dialogue away. We'll see you guys soon.